play this back, I'm going to sound like a 13-year-old child.
Pretty much. You're going to not like how your voice sounds.
That's why I hate interviews. I sound like a child.
Well, don't worry. We're just going to talk about mariachi. I needed to get a check on this thing before YouTube starts fucking me too and me and shit. Like, you don't have women on your podcast. You are not an inclusionary show for the... Oh, God. Go ahead and count this down in 3, 2, 1. BoaBo, how's it going?
It's going.
You look nervous.
I'm terrified.
Terrified of interviews in the podcast world. Yes. Well, first I want to say thank you for joining me here on the PlayMariachi Podcast and the viewers out there. And, you know, I noticed a couple of weeks ago, actually a couple of months ago, that all I'm doing is talking to dudes on the podcast. And there's a bit of a stigma of mariachi music and being all men, you know, versus women and all that kind of thing. I don't want to be perceived that way because you know me, I'm not that way. You know, I hate everybody equally. And so
that you do.
I wanted to, you know, get a lady's perspective on the podcast for viewers who don't know BoaBo, Venessa Rodriguez. Is that, am I saying, yes. Getting that correctly? I know that correct. Mexicans sometimes have like 50 names, so I just want to make sure I'm not
just
leaving.
The two.
Just those two are the important ones. Okay. So thanks for coming. How was the drive up to Phoenix?
It was terrible.
Yeah, pretty much.
I hate driving to Phoenix.
The roads up here suck. Yeah, there's 50 freeways and they all suck. They're all backed up.
Yeah, they actually were. We hit an accident in the tunnel.
Oh, in the tunnel?
Yeah.
So you guys were severely screwed.
Yeah.
How long did you stay in the tunnel? About 2 hours?
No, we actually got through pretty fast, but...
The backlog?
The back seat driver actually was very entertaining.
Oh, the boys?
Yeah.
Like, why aren't we moving?
Yeah.
We're in a car.
Why are we stuck? Go.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, we can't just go.
I don't know if I can handle that with kids in the future. Like, I'm supposed to have children, and I'm like, well, I'm going to be one of those dads where the kids are just afraid of them. Like,
side roads.
Just don't
take all the back roads.
Take all the detours that I hate going on.
All the getaway routes.
Okay, we'll just go right through the hood then. It's like, this is where you guys don't live. Be appreciative, because I will drop your asses off here
there you go.
When you turn 16. So, BoaBo, you're a violinist from Tucson. We've been talking a lot about Tucson mariachi musicians here in Phoenix. I don't know if you have seen or heard or even sampled some of the mariachi music up here. It sucks.
No, I haven't.
I'll save you the pain and tell you it's really horrible. If you look at the podcast that me and Miguel did just last week, he played a couple of samples of an actual group performance where they're playing I think they're playing Cielo Rojo or something like that, and the vihuela player is like, and you're a singer, so you could probably relate to this. The vihuela player is just as opposed to actually playing the huapango,
just
you know?
Off.
Just way off, yeah. So I wanted to talk to you about your kind of start in mariachi music. I mean, you've been playing forever. I mean, I met you when I was like 15 years old. We were in changos. Yep. It was a lot of fun. But how did you start playing mariachi music? Like, what was your hook, line, sinker in Tucson?
Well, I actually started playing violin in orchestra,
like
elementary school, like the majority of violinists out there. But for my birthday, I was asked if I wanted to go hear a special group. I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. So my family took me to La Fuente.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
That place, I see that place in Tucson, but it's closed down now.
It is closed now, unfortunately. But we went, I was in 5th grade, and I thought, this is amazing. Like, this is awesome.
You saw the mariachi there?
Yeah.
Who was playing there back in the day?
I couldn't even tell you.
Like 5th grade, let's think about 5th grade. I'm about a year older than you. And so I was 6th grade. I was going to where the fuck was I going?
Oh my gosh.
Mansfield. I went to a few different schools. I was a bit of a troubled kid. No, I was just, my mom and I moved around a lot.
Bounced around.
We bounced around a lot. I did get in trouble in some schools, but I straightened out by the time I got to Pueblo. Interestingly enough, like, you straighten out at Pueblo. Well, because you can get killed at Pueblo if you don't get your shit together, right? Like, it's a little dangerous there. So 5th grade, mid-90s? Like 95, 96?
Yeah, around there.
So whoever was playing at La Fuente in the mid-90s, I can probably think like Luz de Luna maybe, or...
Oh, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you if it was a group.
Or if it was just people.
Or just people put together.
Fucking talon playing, right?
But as a kid, you don't know the difference.
No, you just hear the music.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh.
So I was intrigued. I thought, this is awesome. They came, they sang to me, mañanitas, and do you have any requests? And of course, you don't have requests as
like,
a kid. You're just like,
fucking wow me. How's that?
Yeah.
Give me your best shot.
Do what you want. And I was wowed as a kid, starting out, looking at the violinists who don't need their music and who have everything memorized, and I just thought,
there's a power.
This is awesome.
Like there's like a power you want to possess, right?
So I thought that looks really cool. I want to do that.
So you had the desire. So where did you actually start playing? So like 5th grade, 6th grade?
I actually started in the apprentice group of Estrellas de Oro.
Oh, I've heard of this.
So that was way back when. I started in 5th grade. Just picked up as much as I could. I actually was taken under the wing by a dear friend of mine now. Mm-hmm. So I hope she doesn't mind if I mention a name. But Bernadette Salgado actually helped me a lot back then. Took me under her wing. Just everything she knew, I took on that part, and that's kind of where I took off.
Interesting.
So from Estrellitas, learned as much as I could. Started performing with them little by little, but it kind of started to just dissolve a little bit, and at that point figured I needed to...
You're about what, almost end of middle school, high school time now?
No, not even.
That far?
It wasn't even a year.
Oh shit.
I wasn't in there very long. And they started to kind of just separate as a group. A lot of them moved, a lot of them graduated, a lot of them did their own thing. At that point, Corazon was still happening, so they bounced back and forth between the groups and figured if I needed something, I needed stability. So I decided to check out Changuitos.
The Changos.
And that's where that started.
And that's where that whole thing started.
I was in 6th grade when I auditioned for them, and the rest is history.
I don't even know if I formally auditioned for Changos. I just showed up one day with my guitar. It's very similar to Tapatio. I didn't think I auditioned for that group. I just showed up to a practice, and Louis just looked at me like, yeah.
Okay.
And that was it. That was pretty much it. I was just like, am I in? Am I out? I remember going home thinking, did I blow it? What's going on? And he's like, then I get a text like, hey Jay, so our gigs are coming up, and I'm like, oh fuck, okay, I guess I'm in. So the same thing with Changos is, I think Roy was leaving.
Yeah.
At the time that I got in there.
Needed someone.
Needed anyone. Anyone will do. This kid with a guitar, this ought to work. But yeah, the same thing. I started in orchestra, and yeah, getting into Changos was like a big deal for me. I was just like, man, I really want to play with a group. I remember looking at Corazon, and they were full. They didn't need any rhythm players, and I was like, all right, well, I don't like Garcia anyway, so that's fine. He ended up being my fraternity brother, so I always talk shit to the poor guy.
Nice.
And I married his cousin too, so that's a double. That's a double whammy. Like, he's probably watching this like, that son of a bitch. He actually texted me that when I started dating Veronica. Yeah, like the day that he found out that we were dating.
Hey, buddy.
He's like, you're gonna die. So you start playing with Changos. I came along around 15, 16 years old. So this is like 2002, 2003 time frame. So you'd already been playing with them, like, exclusively.
I had already been in there for a while. Same thing. I auditioned, started practicing with the apprentice group, but once auditions came, I made it in. So I wasn't an apprentice for very long, maybe a few months. Went through learning the rep, doing what we had to do. Then we took our fun little trip to LA, got trajes, and
it's always a fun trip.
I felt like a part of a group.
You're like a rock star now.
Yeah.
It's cool. I get to travel. We're staying in hotels. We're playing gigs. We're getting fitted.
And that's where all the shenanigans start.
That's when the shenanigans start, when you do the out-of-town gigs.
Yeah.
Oh, man, the trouble that I got into doing stupid shit out of town. Got busted a few times. I almost ended up getting out of the group.
Oh, man.
Me and a couple of our compadres were almost kicked out of there because of the shit that we were doing. It's like, it was pretty bad. It was really bad. I blame the Borlands.
Oh, the Borlands.
The Borlands. Every time I see those guys, man, those guys are like my fucking kryptonite. Like, I can usually hold my own.
Everybody.
But, like, I don't usually have kryptonite. Like, usually I can hold my own against anybody, right? But as soon as I see Steven, he's like, "What's up?" I'm just like, "Fuck, I'm gonna be hungover tomorrow." That's exactly how I feel. It's like it's not gonna be a good time for me.
Just for my appreciation, can you do that again?
Oh, the impression of fucking
Steven.
Oh man, did I nail that one? Because that's exactly how he sounds, huh? Every time I see him, he's like, "What's up?" And I'm just like, "Oh shit, there's that guy." I remember
that was great.
I remember when we did the 50th Chango reunion with Tapatio. We had been playing so many gigs. Remember, that was a busy time. Like, we had just done a few. It was really hectic.
Was very busy.
And we get to the TCC, the theater, right? The main theater, that's where they were having it. I showed up with Veronica, and Steven's there. And he's like, "What's up, dude?" I actually hadn't seen him in a couple of years. I was like, "Man, dude, I'm tired, man. We've been playing gigs. We got to do this thing on stage. It's going to go all night. We've been practicing last night and the day before." And I was kind of bitching. I was kind of having a bitch moment. And Steven, with, my girlfriend now, wife at the time, wife now, make sure that's clear, was with me. This dude bitches me out. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Jason. You get to play with fucking Tapatio. Cobra's in there right now. You're going to play with them too. Oh shit, you get to play all these gigs and do all this stuff."
Do you
he fucked me up mentally. And I sat there, I was like, wow. And I was like, true. All right, I'm going to shut my mouth right now and get in there and enjoy my life. He's like, that's right, Vato. Get in there and get on that stage. I want to hear you. I want to see you play. And then I'm walking away, and Veronica was like, wow, he shut you up. And I'm just like, you know what? There are a few people in my life. Beto is one of them. Louis is definitely one of them. And that little fucker, that can just... I'm just quiet. I'm like, okay.
All right.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Put me right in my place, man. So we go through Changos, and anyone who's been in a youth group, or like the Changuitos, or Aslan, or Tucson, or Sunnyside, knows that there's always kind of rivalries within groups, without groups. For sure. I mean, I went to Pueblo. You graduated from Sunnyside, right? So you're a Chango that's not in Diablitos, that's not in that program, or how did that dynamic work for you?
I actually was in both, and it didn't work out for me. That's exactly it.
Came to a point like, choose one.
There are a lot of politics in it, especially when you're younger, you're not the adult behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So you don't always understand why things are happening.
And you don't get to set your own terms either.
Yeah, you don't get to say what you want. You don't always get the option. So that actually was one of my few options. It was either you stay here and follow our rules, or you go with this group and you play by their rules. So at the time, I was in both Sunnyside, Diablitos, and Changos, and it was under the musical direction of Monica and Ruben at the time, Changuitos.
Oh, yeah.
So I had some pretty good instructors, and then I also had Cuco on the other end.
Super Cuco.
Yeah, so...
My nana used to call him the Mexican leprechaun. I was like, that's not very nice, Nana. She's like, his hair looks so perfect, and it's all white, and he's skinny and little. I'm just like... I understand that you're having admiration for the man, but what you just said is actually very offensive.
Diablitos wasn't only just a after school thing. You got graded for it. It was a class. So it was hard to make that decision, like, where do I want to stay? Yeah. Changuitos gave you a scholarship, which is very beneficial.
It helped. I used some of that money.
But I did make the decision to just stay with the Diablitos. I also had the opportunity and the option at the time to join Herencia with Cuco. So,
were you in there when I got in there?
No.
You had left, hadn't you?
I had already left.
Dang.
So I did decide to make the change. I had left Changos and decided I was going to start playing with Herencia.
Yeah. I couldn't remember. I was thinking about this interview, and I'm like, I can't remember when BoaBo wasn't in Changos, because she was just fucking not there one day.
It really was.
I couldn't remember the
one day to the next. Like, hey, we're at practice. We're going to do this. By the way, I need to talk to you guys afterwards. Yeah, because
I don't remember any of this. I just remember being in there, and there was Torrejon and fucking Bachelier, and I'm just dealing with those two and trying to get my shit together. Yeah. And then just you weren't there one day, and I was just like,
yeah, it really was like an after practice. We got a chit chat, and I'm not gonna come back.
Don't you hate that shit? Like, we need to talk. Fuck. Every time I hear those phrases,
it's
I'm just
not
like,
you, it's me.
Oh Jesus.
Okay, maybe it's you.
Maybe it's you. Maybe it's mostly you. I'm a jerk.
Yeah, I had made the decision that I thought at the time was best for me.
Probably best.
And
you avoided a massive wall that we hit right around that time.
Yeah,
we all ran into it. It was great.
And every group does at some point or another.
Hits walls.
Yeah.
It happens. It's the nature of the beast. Even in the big show groups, you see guys that have been with a group for like 10, 15, 20 years, and then all of a sudden, they're just not there anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, shit, okay.
Yeah, so
it happens.
Made the change, and I don't regret it one bit. Not to say it couldn't have ended up a nice outcome if I would have stayed. Yeah. I mean, I would have got a scholarship out of it because I didn't get the scholarship.
Yeah, they were like, yoink.
Yep. You didn't complete this.
I don't think I ever signed a contract officially.
Oh, no, I didn't either. But
no,
that's fine.
That was good. That was smart because I had some leverage at the time. When I was like a senior and I was working, I was just, they're like, we're going to take your scholarship. I'm like, technically, I didn't sign his contract. So
it's mine.
So you guys can go ahead and find another person to play because I don't have any stake in this game right now. And they're just like, we really don't want to do that. And I was like, I'll tell you what, I'll stay. I'll sign whatever I'm going to sign. I only have a year left, right? And I'm like, let's be cool. But I got a job, and I think one of the board members at the time was calling my work, telling them they couldn't schedule me on weekends, on Fridays.
Oh, man.
And this is another interesting dynamic about like boys and girls and being young. Very different. We're very different animals when we're that age. I mean, we get a little seasoned when we get older. We both kind of learn who we are, how to handle things, but I used to handle things very aggressively as a young guy. I remember going to the board meeting. I said, "Look, you guys don't ever call my work again, and that's period. I make my schedule. I pay my car note. I pay my insurance. Yeah. I'm in charge of my shit, and I'm showing up to gigs, and I'm practicing, and I'm learning." And I was real hot shotty attitude, right? But I see a lot of girls, they don't get that sort of approach to things. Like I've seen youth group girls that they start breaking down, they cry, or they go the total opposite route. They go super diva, and it's like, oh my god, it's really bad. Yeah. How did you handle yourself with being a young musician? Because I've talked to a lot of guys about being a young musician, but it's a different perspective for girls. Sometimes you're a little bit more like us.
I think you're barking up the wrong tree with that one.
Yeah, because you kind of say you tend to tell people to go F themselves sometimes.
For those who don't know me very well, I'm kind of one of the guys sometimes.
Kind of one of the guys, yeah.
So it just depends on the situation. I feel like I matured fairly quickly when I was teenager.
Remember you used to wear like jeans. You were kind of like, you were almost tomboyish a little bit. Like you might sock somebody in the face.
I was always pretty independent. From the moment I got a car, I was like, okay, I'm on my own. I'm done.
I'm done with this.
I know where I gotta be, what time, what I gotta do. I
know my responsibilities.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like to, first of all, put myself in a position where it has to get to that point.
Right.
Like
Smart.
a make or break type. So I kind of tried to avoid that altogether. If I see something going
in that direction,
put a stop to it right away.
Done with that one.
But yeah, I don't like the confrontation part of like getting to that point where it's like, okay, we need to talk. Like, this is not...
Right, fuck you. No, fuck you. It's like, that's bad. That's bad.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm a little more prone to confrontation.
Yeah, you are.
As you've seen with many, many, many years of knowing me, I'm just like, I'm just like totally fucking cool, chill, whatever. Until it's time to be confrontational.
Yeah. See, I've always been told first impressions that people get of me are like, oh yeah, you were really scary when I first met you. And it's
interesting.
Like, but why?
Why
I don't get it.
Why is she scary?
I really don't get it.
You do give off the impression as the chick that might punch you in the face. Like that's one
you
vibe.
never know.
That's one vibe that I get from you. When I first met you, I was like, damn, I bet she'd punch you in the face if you say something wrong to her. Yeah.
Well, sometimes people have it coming.
No guy wants to get hit by a chick. Let me just say that. That's embarrassing as shit because you can't do nothing.
Well, okay, so there's a fine line there. I feel like if you've got it coming, guy or girl, like, not to say it's okay to hit a chick, but,
oh man, yeah.
But like sometimes girls put themselves in that position. I mean,
there's a comic that
there will be a dude that will find a chick to hit you for them.
That's what I have considered that option when I was at BoaBo. I remember there was a girl that I dated for a little bit, and then we stopped dating, and then she was kind of spreading whatever. You need, that's one weapon in your guys' arsenal. You guys use very well is the lies, the lies. And then there was a girl that I was also seeing, and she's just like, "You want me to kick her ass?" Because she goes to my same bus stop, and I'm just like, how could I be implicated in this if this goes down? I was like, would this just be a random happenstance? Two girls that just don't like each other, or is someone going to say that I sent her? And I was like, nah, don't do that. That's not cool. Just let her say her shit. Cool. I was like, how about we start spreading rumors about her? I'm like, oh man, it was just high school.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know. I didn't realize at the time how damaging that is. That's really bad. Don't do that, you youngsters. Okay, don't follow my poor example. All right. Be nice to everybody, and don't end up with a fucking girlfriend in high school. You will regret it for the rest of your life. Seriously, it's not worth it.
Totally off topic.
Off topic. Anyways, no, but this is part of the mariachi culture, because when you're a high school mariachi, and even like a young mariachi musician, like in your 20s, it's especially bad in your 20s, I think, personally, because you don't have rules anymore. Yeah. Shit can happen when you're in your early 20s, and so. You know, what do you think about that dynamic of dealing with relationships and being a mariachera, being a violinist and working every weekend and doing all these things? Like, how's that experience been for you when you're the musician and, you know, your husband is a musician now too, so you guys are like at a level playing field, but dudes that you dated weren't always fully appreciative and understanding of the musician and the gig life?
No, well, I guess for me, like I said, I like to kind of nip that.
Right.
Right at the start.
So do you have like a test?
I've always...
I'm going to go play 12 hours tomorrow.
I'm going to need you to answer this for me. No, it's always been known that I do play. I do have commitments, and that needs to be understood. There's a certain... Like, you wouldn't ask the person you're dating, like, I'm going to need you to call into work today because we're having lunch. Like, that's ridiculous.
I've dated girls like that. Women pull that shit on guys all the time.
That's why they're no longer here.
That's why I am married.
No, right. But, I mean, it just seems like that you wouldn't do that. I mean, it's...
Interesting. So no guy ever pulled that type of bullshit with you where it's like, God, you're playing every Saturday. We can't go to the movies. It has to be a late movie. No. That's like every dude's story. Like, all my compañeros say the same shit.
I've never dealt with that. For that exact reason. People know that I play. People know that I have practice. They know that, you know, that's my commitment. That's a part of my life. That's what I love doing, and it shouldn't be an issue. If it is an issue, then we have issues.
Then we have problems.
So it's
you're
never...
You're not going to be the solution.
Yeah, it's never come up. But again, that's where I feel like I'm upfront about things. I don't put myself in a position to where I hide anything. It's going to be an issue. It's going to like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. I have this.
That I'm a professional musician and I got like 12 hours.
Saturdays are off.
Out of the question. Every other Friday. How's every other Friday? Thursday afternoon?
Maybe a Monday lunch.
A Monday lunch might work. Sundays, fuck Sundays. I got 20 masses to play. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. So no, it's never been an issue. But I mean, I prepare myself and prepare others for that. So
do you mentor young people as they've come into groups and help them out with that kind of shit? I
have in the past. I don't anymore.
Like, I'm not getting involved in this.
Not because of that. I just don't have the time.
Well, you're a mom now.
And I have
my
own things to do and take care of, and it's different now. My life is different. My commitments, my priorities, everything is different. Something as simple as, you know, going to fries down the street. It's like, Mom, where are you going? Can I go?
Oh,
and I'm
shit.
like, oh my God, like I can't just walk out the
Oh,
door. I will be 2 minutes, I swear. And those 2 minutes turn into like a half hour down the street to buy milk because the boys want to come and strap them in. And things are different. And I don't have the time to like, hey, can you give me a lesson? Well, no, I really can't. Like, I can't make that commitment.
Maybe 2 months from now, schedule me a time, right?
Yeah, and I feel bad because I do get approached about it by younger kids, by adults. Like, hey, you know, I've always wanted to give this a try. Do you have... I really don't have the time. And I would feel bad trying to take on like, oh, well, I can help you maybe once, or, you know, let's see how this works out. Because I already know I can't. If they do enjoy it, if they like it, if they want to come back, I can't. Yeah, I can't continue. It's
okay,
not like a one and done type thing.
Here's your initial evaluation. Now I'm going to pawn you off to a single person who doesn't have this bullshit to deal with.
Someone who doesn't have kids, a family.
So you talk about balancing all that, and that's one of the things that I want to talk to you about, being a mom in mariachi. I mean, from my, you know, biased male perspective, you know, I think that, you know, if I'm going to go play gigs or if I'm going to go do lessons or whatever the case is, and a lot of my compañeros have the similar situation where they have their spouse or their partner or their girlfriend or their wife, and like the kids stay with them while they're out doing this shit. That's not your situation, right? So it's a little bit of a different thing, or is it the same?
Well, it depends. And I share the same situation with a lot of people in Tucson. Because I know the community, I know, you know, the musicians in Tucson. There are a lot of parents. There are a lot of couples who, you know, are both musicians, both play, some in the same group, some in different groups. But it's always been an understanding that, you know, we have our schedule, they have their schedule. Sometimes they, you know, sometimes they conflict, sometimes they don't. So if available and I have to play, they stay home with Dad. If not, and both of us are unavailable, you know, we've been fortunate enough to have, you know, my parents or his parents or, you know, whoever.
No, those grandparents are great, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. They're lifesavers.
I pester you enough. My parents and my wife's parents were like, so when are the kids coming? When are the kids coming? I was like, both of you live in different cities than us, so
yeah, when are you coming?
When are you guys coming? And then we'll discuss the children part, right?
Make sure we have all of our bases covered.
Yeah, it's like I just want to make sure we got a good plan in place because we do have things going on, right?
Yeah,
that's one of my fears is becoming like a father, and then being like that road musician father. You know what I'm talking about? I don't think that's good.
And well, It depends on how you raise your kids. We've raised ours with the understanding that, you know, music is a part of our lives. They know that. They know that there's practices. They know the members of our groups.
That's very true.
You know,
they're all very comfortable around everybody.
And it's become a family. They're, you know, it's Tio Beto. And it's like Tia Maggie or, you know, whoever. And that's just the way we've raised our kids.
So are they picking up the music themselves? Are you noticing those telltale signs?
Yeah, they have showed interest in their own little instruments of choice. But
interesting. So who's the violin and who's the guitar player?
Oh, nobody picked up violin, which I'm very grateful for because those instruments are the most expensive.
I was about to say, I was like, you probably saw one kid pick up a drum set and one kid pick up a bass, and you're like, yes. This is Dad's problem.
Definitely. No, it was actually funny because my firstborn, it was born in April. So he was only months old when Christmas came along, and everybody thought, oh, we're gonna do this to you. We're gonna curse you with the drums and the noisemakers and this and that. And I said, bring it on.
Let's do it.
I'd love to have drums in my house versus a violin. Yeah, seriously. I will take that any day.
I will take $2,500 for a pro kit any day.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
Not buying a $10,000 apprentice violin. I don't think so.
So
not happening.
Yeah. So our baby got drums for Christmas, and in the first month, tore him to pieces. He, you know, hit harder than some of the professionals we have out there.
Oh,
and I was like, yeah, baby boy knows what he wants.
There's a very broad need for good drum players out there.
There definitely is.
So he ain't gonna be waiting tables. He's gonna be.
No, he's gonna be the one playing
in the back
cocktail set.
There you go. I remember that. So you used to play restaurants too back in the day,
I did.
Right? And I remember the wait staff, the maitre d's. When you see an old waiter, you think, damn, some things happen. That's a very interesting person. But when you see an old waiter, that dude has stories.
Yeah.
Because there are reasons why he's there.
Exactly.
Right? But I remember one at Portales. It used to be Casulitas back in the day. And there was a maitre d', and he seemed nice enough, but I think he realized at a certain point that we're there for maybe 2-3 hours, and we're getting close to what he's probably making being there all freaking day in tips. So at a certain point, he started getting a little shitty with us, coming around with his tray next to my Candela's guitar, which everybody knows Candela's guitars are not cheap, right? And I remember one time sitting him aside after we played a song, because he actually did come by, and you know that sound, that sound of a non-wood object
hitting your instrument.
Hitting your instrument. That just like, and you're just like, oh my god. And I look over, like, there better not be a dent. There better not be a dent. And there was like a light little scuff. And I was like, okay. I remember grabbing him by his arm. I'm a very big guy. I've been told I'm a little intimidating. I don't think I am. I'm just a big guy. There's nothing scary about that. I remember telling him, I was like, bro, did you see his guitar? He's like, yeah. He's real shitty too. I was like, this guitar costs more than you make in a month by leaps and bounds. If you come near my guitar again, we're gonna have a problem. I'm going to drag you out of this restaurant, buy your fucking waiter's uniform, and I'm going to beat you with that tray. And he went and talked to the managers, and then we had this big discussion. He's like, you can't threaten my people. I was like, your people hit my guitar.
Your people.
I remember, I'm a bit of a troublemaker. See, I'm totally cool, hey, let's have a good time. Except when...
The little noise
will just set me apart, and I become a psychopath. So playing in the restaurants, like, what do you think about that dynamic of the all-male group, the all-female group, the co-ed group, maybe being the only soloist chick in a group with a bunch of dudes? Like, what is that dynamic like? Because I bet most girls have this situation, right? Because I see one or two girls in a group from time to time.
Yeah, and I don't know what the deal is with other groups. I think maybe that's just a preference of the director. Like, we kind of need a female voice. Maybe. I don't know. My preference for, I know I might upset people out there, but I do not like all female groups. I need the male sound.
Some of the guy voice.
The little, the bass.
Yeah, I can hear a couple of chicks out there like, man, fuck BoaBo. What does she know?
I have lots of enemies.
Oh, shit, okay.
It is what it is.
I agree that when I hear an all-female group, there's something about an all-female group that...
it's too bright.
A little bit.
Yeah, I can't do it.
It's a little bit like, whoa, okay, even... I don't know, it's different. Even how people interpret the music, the sound, the instrumentation, it feels a little floaty, right?
It does. I mean, and
that's a musical term, by the way. Floaty. People who have like a floaty voice or a floaty articulation, right? It's kind of very light and fluffy. It's floaty,
it is,
right?
Yeah.
Opposed to somebody like that has like a strong baritone voice or a strong tenor voice. That's deep, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you would want in mariachi music.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of that.
Well, that's what I prefer. I can't speak for everybody to say that's what you want, but
right.
Yes, that is my preference. So to hear too much of the female sound on top, that's not usually something I usually look for or like. Even when it comes to like the professional groups, going to LA, going to, wherever you go, Guadalajara, if you want to hear the groups from Mexico, I wouldn't look for a female group. That's just me.
I wonder what it would be like to be, like, is it different than being in an all-dude group? Because when you're in an all-dude group, it's like, you all just, it's like being in a locker room, basically, man.
This is where I'm one of the guys.
This is where you might be one of the guys, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the same as like when taking a side gig or something, little 5-6 piece group. There are times where I'm the only female, and I have the benefit of having like a lower voice, lower register.
But you can hit high notes.
I can when I need to.
It's there
when I'm pushed.
But I like the Lola Bertran approach to life. Sometimes. Thank you very much.
So, but that works for me when playing with mostly guys, and you know they're gonna pick songs and keys that are comfortable for them, and luckily enough I can hit most of those keys.
You can out-sing some of these guys too,
so that works for me. But when it comes to, you know, full groups, a full size, sometimes you can hear the difference in
timbre.
Yeah, and sometimes it works, sometimes it clashes. It just depends. So the serenade. This is one thing I want to talk. We've only been talking for about half an hour, so we'll keep right on. Is that really just a cliche, or do girls actually like being serenaded? Is that a thing? Because we've all done it. You know, we've all done that sort of thing. More than we'd like sometimes.
More than we would like to. Yeah, sometimes it's kind of expected. Like there's pressure for dudes. It's like if you're, I remember being 20, 21 years old. You saw me at this age, and trying to like impress, you know, chicks. It's like, yeah, I'm a musician. Yeah, I'm a mariachi. So yeah, you gotta sing to the girl, right? And it's a little intimidating. It's a little bit. It's like, so do girls actually like that shit? Like when dudes sing to them, or is it just a cliche?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well,
I have never asked someone like, "Can you sing to me?"
Oh, Jesus.
Like,
I have been asked that question before by girls I used to date. It's like,
and I would like for the record, I've never asked for a serenata either. Like, never like, hey, you know, it'd be nice. I just, because I do them so often, that for me, it's like, well, it'd be another, like, I feel like I'd sit there and sing along, and I wouldn't enjoy it like another person.
Yeah.
But I know that sometimes you do get the reaction out of the older generations where, you know, like if we went and sang to my Nana, she would cry.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that that's something she enjoys, but I don't think it's like an every girl loves this type thing.
It can be kind of embarrassing, I think, for some people.
Yeah, I could be totally wrong. But I think for some people, like if I got one, I would sit there kind of like, okay, like one song is enough. Like, you guys are done.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks. But you guys can go. Do you want to come in? Do you want something to drink?
Want something to drink?
So I have to start making food. Like,
like shit. Now I gotta do work.
Like you guys are more than welcome to come in. But I don't think it's like a have to type thing. I don't think every girl expects it. I don't think every girl wants it. Some people do feel uncomfortable when they're
being sung to.
Well, just in general, being put on the spot.
Interesting.
So
my wife is like that.
Yeah,
she's a little bit like she's a real introvert, you know, and so she's told me, we've had these conversations, like that sort of thing would really like be awkward for me because I'm just sitting there like ugh. And that's not the reaction that you want when you're singing to a chick. You're just like, fuck, am I scaring her? It's like, am I singing off key? Is my breath okay? It's like, what's going on?
Yeah, not everybody wants that, and that's a fact. Like, just people react different to certain things. But that's
like, what's the worst reaction you've ever seen? Like, my worst reaction is playing for weddings, and the bride doesn't want to. There was 2 instances. I don't know if you were hanging out with me at the time. There was 2 instances at gigs where the bride didn't show up.
Oh, I was not there.
And then there was one where the bride was in the limo and she refused to get out.
Oh, well, at least she showed up.
She showed up, but she wouldn't get out. And after 30 minutes of that shit, they just canceled the wedding.
Oh,
the groom.
No. I was not at either of those. Yeah,
this instance, the groom actually got really upset and started throwing chairs in the chapel. Like, and you know, there was a back room on that church on 36 by Campbell area.
Oh yeah.
And so you could see him back there, like just throwing chairs back there.
That's not okay.
I was like, ooh, I can see why she didn't get out of the limo. This guy's probably a prick.
Can't go through with that.
So, like, what's one of the worst experiences you've had at a gig? You know what I mean? It's like...
Well, at a wedding, I've seen the bride collapse. That was interesting.
Collapse with like faint,
like
or
pass out. Yeah.
Or did she have a heart problem or a weight problem?
A lot of brides think that, you know, fancy dress, pretty dress, and some of them, I don't know if they like try to squeeze into these dresses.
Shit. They didn't do the push-ups to earn the dress?
Yeah, you didn't earn the dress. But they need to eat. Oh my God, you cannot starve yourself on your wedding day.
Oh yeah, for real.
That is one day where you need to make sure you get in a good breakfast.
We ate a breakfast
and
that day. Yeah.
That is, I cannot stress that enough. Like, I saw a bride pass out at the altar. That was pretty bad.
And you guys are just standing there like...
Yeah, we're just like, are we done? Like,
we still get paid, right?
Is she going to wake up? Like, does she or does she not say I do?
Oh,
what are we doing?
Like, this still counts?
Yeah. Like,
that still counts?
Is this finished? Yeah, that one was pretty bad. I've seen at a quince that Nana tripped over her own dress.
Oh, shit,
and,
yeah.
Like, fell over.
When you see an old person fall,
yeah, that
hurts.
Scary.
You're like, fuck. You instantly think of your Nana, like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, like, somebody help her. Like,
yeah, please get her up. I have my guitar in my hand. I can't help her.
Well, like, things like that. Well, when we're playing at churches, they usually try to put you in an area where you're out of the way.
Yeah, you're excluded from the general population.
So you're not usually the closest person to the front.
Yeah, to come to the rescue.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, he's got it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, I try to attend every gig with, like a good attitude, a positive...
Yeah, good vibes.
Yeah. I really hate... I don't like to use the word hate, but
we'll use hate, yes.
When people show up not
in a shitty
ready
mood
for a gig. Like, bringing home outside stuff to the gig. That's not okay. Because it brings down your whole group. Everybody sees it. You can see it. The audience sees it. And you don't want that for a gig.
No.
Mariachi to me is like my safe haven. Anything that happens outside, anything stressful, work, home, drama, whatever it is.
That's not here.
Mariachi's for me.
Right.
And that's how I look at it. So I like to, come with a positive attitude to each gig. So for me to have a bad gig doesn't usually happen. And I would like to think that it usually doesn't happen because I make sure it doesn't happen.
Right.
But there are times where, like, I come with, like, okay, let's get this over with. But on the flip side, I feel like that shows
a little bit.
So
I mean, I've seen you flustered once or twice, but then you're like, okay, get my shit together, as we all say. Yeah. Then I start playing.
It'll take a couple songs to turn the switch.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Like, okay, I'm good to go. All right.
Yeah. So I don't think I've had bad gigs.
I had a gig where someone got shot.
That's pretty bad. I haven't
experienced that. Now that I think about it, I was playing with Freddie Gallegos one year, and we were at a backyard gig. It was just a random gig. And there was a fight that broke out within a family. Like, these are people that were at the same party. And a couple of people go into the front of the house, and all you see from the backyard is, wow. And I was like, ooh, that's a gunshot. And then it's, wow. I was like, fuck. I know those. Being not just from Pueblo, but I grew up in pretty much all over Tucson, except for the east side. Fuck the east side. I grew up... I was born in Midvale in the mid 80s, and so we didn't stay there for long, thank God, because who knows how I would have turned out. Because, yeah, let's just say that I've been very fortunate. But my grandparents, my nana and tata, lived in Bravo Park, so right there between Campbell and Irvington on like Park Avenue, and where Van Busker is. Mm-hmm. I went to school there for a while. That's where I graduated 5th grade. And, you grow up in those areas, you spend a lot of time in those neighborhoods, and you learn things like what kind of gun that was, what caliber bullet that was, about how far away it was, and then if I need to be fucking running right now, right? You learn many of those things. Yeah, that was one of the worst gigs. Oh. And then playing in Nogales and not getting paid for 6 hours and having a gun pulled on us for, on the other side of the border. by one of the patrons?
No, I've
some
never
of that crazy
experienced that. Thank God. To be honest, I don't know how I would react. I'd be like, okay, I don't gotta get paid.
Like, fuck it. I was thinking, like, there's 4 of us, and I wonder if we could jump this guy right now. I'm looking for a place to put my guitar. I'm like, man, this guy just flashed a pistol at us. I'm like, is there a knife around here somewhere? I start cutting this motherfucker.
I need the biggest rock.
I just need something that I can get my hands on this bastard.
No, I've never had anything like that come up. Thankfully. But I hope I don't have bad gigs.
I know,
like
a little bit.
But I also
go play today too. It's like, shit. I got 2
I
gigs
also,
tonight.
like I said, put myself in the position where that comes up. I don't take side gigs where
questionable.
Where I don't know the people, where I don't know the area, where it's like, okay, we'll show up and then we'll tell you then who's playing. Well, I'm not going to put myself in that position. So I like to know who I'm playing with. I like to know what we're playing for,
where we're playing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like when I see certain addresses in Phoenix, I take my gun. Because, late at night, you never know. You have a base, you have cash flowing, you don't know what the fuck might happen, and so sometimes I'm strapped. You don't gotta know when, but sometimes I've been strapped with Theo, and Beto didn't need to be the wiser for it. It's just, he knows that if something goes down, you'll be glad that Jason is there.
There are a couple of us that have it.
There was a couple of us there that's like my life's goal for my 20s. I just wanted to be like, if some shit goes down, you're gonna be glad that I was around. That's kind of like my whole persona when I was playing at Tapatio.
Nice.
That's the longest group I ever played for.
Well, congratulations.
I know, because I was a bit of a hua for most of my life, playing with all kinds of groups. And then Louie and Beto saved me from the shadows of...
They pulled you out of that lifestyle.
They pulled me out of that lifestyle. They were Captain Save-A-Ho. Captain Save-A-Ho with Jason. That was a great group. It still kind of is a great group, but I haven't been a part of it for almost, 2 years?
About 2 years now.
The last gig I played was here's some commitment. The last gig I played with you guys with a Gaslight show on my 1-year anniversary.
Oh.
In December.
That's adorbs.
And we both looked at it like, fuck.
Well, that's that date.
Oh, that's that date shot to hell and back. So, the difference, I've been hearing a lot of things about Tucson about the show groups dying. Is that true? What's your perception of, the culture, how it's changing, how it's maybe not evolving? You heard it from Steve Carrillo when I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago. He sees areas where the culture is dying. And I'm like, yeah, I see it up here. I see people playing whatever the hell, and I'm like, and now I'm hearing it that's happening in my hometown in Tucson. I'm like, hey, what's going on here? We have some preciousness that we need to protect.
We do. I think it's kind of a case-by-case basis. Yes, it's definitely changed. It's definitely evolved into something that in some people's eyes could be a good thing, in others could be a bad thing. I personally enjoy the bigger
12 people
full group. I've never been one to okay, let's do
a 5-man powerhouse, right?
Yeah, I've always been in a group, but that's just my preference. Mm-hmm. Some people don't look for that. Some people need
just the freelancer.
Constant, the constant gigging, the constant. I don't have time for always practicing. I don't have time for, or lack of wanting to.
Some people, if there's not a dollar bill attached to it, they don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and
some people are that good. Some people are not.
Some people are not.
They still live that lifestyle, but it's you're not that fucking good, bro.
Yeah. But that's my preference. I enjoy
the full group.
I enjoy the sound. I enjoy the family aspect of it.
Yeah.
Tapatio's the one group that I've been in the longest, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. You guys are still like family to me.
Yeah.
And you know me, I don't like people.
You don't. You really don't.
I do not like people. I'll let you know I don't like it to your face. Is that a new haircut? Oh, yeah, it's great. I don't like it.
Yeah. I've heard that conversation.
You've heard this conversation a couple of times. There's a catchphrase with me every time I see people in Tucson. I'm like, I don't like it. I'm like, you heard about that story too? Fuck. Too many stories, man. But yeah, they're like a family.
Yeah, it really is. And that's what I enjoy. That's what I look forward to when we go to practice, when we go to gigs, when we go. Like, I enjoy showing up and like, oh, hey, how's it going?
What's up, man?
Give a hug instead of like, nice to meet you.
Like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I don't like the awkward feeling of like, who's playing today? What are we doing? Do you know this song? Do you know, how do you play it? I don't like the uncertainty. I like the rehearsed, prepared feeling of, okay, we're gonna go do this.
We're building something here.
Yeah.
There is a flip side to that coin, though.
There is.
There's a big flip side. There's that ugly two-faced side to that coin. People get comfortable.
This is true.
And then people get that buddy system going on. Like, even in Phoenix, some of that happens here. It's not on a big scale, but I've seen people carry older or people they know, carry them, and maybe just because they sing 10 songs, but they play like shit, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the buddy system. It's like, okay, well, fine. That's your thing. And it happens in big groups, too, where you have maybe one or two people that cling and feed off of their section and are not always prepared or unadaptable. They don't want to change or some fucking thing, right? I mean, it happens. Like, well, how do you, like me and Miguel are talking about this with our youth group now, all right? Because we have a big youth group in Phoenix, and they're pretty good. I mean, for being, not from that area where it's common, they have a lot of potential and they have a lot of talent. And at the same time, we got to keep them in line and disciplined. And it's like, no, you can't slack off. Like, he loses his shit sometimes. Like, I don't know how I'm the rational one where I'm supposed to be the crazy uncle figure, but he got really pissed at them a few weeks ago because he gave them music. They hadn't touched it. And I think back to our days in Tapatio when I'm like, there would be occasions where people just had not looked at the goddamn score. And you could tell it. It's like, you guys do realize that we're all pretty decent high-level musicians here. We can all tell when you're not ready, right? Yeah. Like, you can't fake this shit. Even if you're a good sight reader. And none of us are that good. None of us are that good. So how do you deal with that frustration? That's really what it is. Especially you. You got kids. You got a husband.
I do.
You don't got time for bullshit. You got time to get there, be in a good mood, be prepared. Okay, side of the end. Okay, and then go to the next thing, right?
Yeah. It does come down to balance. Like, I prepare myself now. It's a lot easier when you have technology.
It's a lifesaver sometimes.
It is. So we've been lucky enough to have our stuff, like audio files. We have access to those.
You have an abundance of resources.
Yeah, we can, hook it up to your car, listen to it driving to work, things like that. So that gives me my little extra time with my music to prepare myself. But dealing with the frustrations of it, and I'm not perfect. There's times where it's just like, you know what, this week is crazy because of family, kids. Like, my kids are in school now. They have homework. They have, we're starting T-ball, like all this stuff, practicing. Plus, you still got to do dinner. I still have to do, the house stuff. Like, come home, we make dinner, we do laundry, whatever.
The routine.
There's not always the time to, like, midnight, okay, take out your instrument.
Finally got the violin
that's
out.
just not possible sometimes. So there are times where it's like, you know what, I didn't get a chance to look at it. This. I listened to it. I can know what you did.
It's I'm going to have to sight read this a little bit.
Yeah,
please forgive me.
I mean, but I feel like that's where it's not an excuse, but that's where that understanding of a group comes in.
Right.
So if you're out just freelancing, you don't have that understanding with the other members. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know their lifestyle. You just show up and hope that you're showing up with people who know what they're doing.
Right.
But with a group, an actual group that's been together for a while, we do have these sit downs. We do have, okay, let's talk about it. What's going on?
Meetings.
Like, what's happening?
Democracy at work.
Why is this going on? So there's an understanding of what's happening. Why is it happening? But in the end, you're doing it either because you want to or don't do it. I feel like that's where that fine line is. It's a yes or no. Like, are you going to be here to be here, or are you not?
Right.
Don't waste everybody's
time.
time.
Are you just holding on and this really isn't for you anymore?
Yeah.
Because really what everybody, I would think, wants is the stage. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Right? Have you seen that? But I've seen anxiety for people like going on stage. I'm like, what the fuck? This is the whole point of why we do this.
Well, I mean, it really depends. Each stage is different.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're taking a small stage like Gaslight or a big stage like
Conference.
Hollywood Bowl.
I saw you guys do that. That was like the first time Tapatíos had a big thing like that.
Well, no, we didn't do Hollywood Bowl. We went to San Diego.
Oh, okay. For the Jose Hernandez something or other.
Mm-hmm. So we did that. But I mean, each stage is different. Each stage is going to feel different. I was always told and raised since I started playing that the minute you don't get nervous is the minute you don't love it anymore.
Interesting.
That's the way I look at it.
I feel those nerves. I like that feeling.
That could be a bunch of BS for someone else. Like if you're watching this and you're like, yeah, you're full of it, then sorry.
Who told you that nonsense?
But that's the way I look at it.
Everybody feels
I mean, I can go to, we've been preparing for Gaslight and, prepare for months and months and then get on that stage and I'll still like, okay, am I ready? Okay, what's first? Like, okay.
I like that feeling where it's like the first note, we just have to play the first note.
Yeah.
And then I don't give a shit after that. Like, I really don't care.
Just let it flow.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, like the boys, I call them the boys. They're fucking adults now, but I would see that fear in them. I'm just like, look, guys, let's just start the first note. And then after that, I don't give a shit. I don't care at all. We're playing right now, right? We're on. Yeah. We're on right now.
No turning back.
Even if you mess up.
Yeah.
If you mess up, so what? You messed up. Practice more next time. How about that?
Keep it going.
Keep it going, right? Unless it's really bad mess up. Oh, I've had a couple of doozies, especially on bass. I'm like, fuck, okay, I'm back.
And everybody gives you that look.
Yeah, I can, even when like Beto is facing this way, it's like his head morphs into the back of his head and just looks at me like, I can feel it.
It's the look.
Yeah, it's horrible.
The look that you don't want to catch, so you just keep looking forward.
I'm just looking, and I can just every time I've ever played a wrong note or a chord, I see the back of his head, because I usually stand behind him, go like I just gave him a twitch, and I'm just like, oh, fuck, I fucked that up.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. You choose what you want it to be.
What do you want long term out of playing mariachi music? I mean, are you going to do this until your kids are like freaking, doing it alongside you? Or
no idea.
Because I feel like that right now. I'm like, what do I want out of this shit right now? You know what I mean?
I would like to say yes. If you ask me now, I can't see myself stopping. Mm-hmm. But that's just me. I love doing it. I love, the feeling that I get when I play. And I mean, I can't tell you like, oh yeah, I want to move to LA and audition for this and do that. That's not me.
Why would you want to take a pay cut and then move to that city?
That is not me. I'm not the person that's like striving to
be in the limelight.
Yeah,
Is it even the limelight anymore? I don't even know. I don't even know if that's the limelight anymore. It seems like the big groups are just working to work now. It feels a little more like work than what it did when we were kids. When we were in Changos and we saw the Camperos for the first time, the first time I saw them like in 2003, 2002, that shit didn't feel like work. That shit felt like stardom, right? It felt a little bit like stardom because every member of that group was so on point and so like seasoned, and they were all just like, they were doing things that I didn't think were possible musically for the mariachi music, right?
Yeah.
Now I see stuff where it's highly polished, but it's different.
It is different. Well, I mean, you're older now. You see things differently.
Yeah.
That's really all it is.
You do sound like a mom. Jesus Christ. Well, mijo, you're older now. It sounded exactly like my mom. She's probably watching this laughing her ass off.
It comes with a job.
Yeah, a little bit.
You really can't read about this stuff.
No, you can't. You gotta live it once you get initiated.
Yeah.
But it feels like that now. It feels different.
It does. People will ask me, what's your favorite group? I don't have one. Who's your favorite musician? I don't have one. What's your favorite song? I don't have one.
I know fucking 30 hours of music.
I know. I mean, I know what I like. If you ask me right now, I'll give you 2 songs off the top of my head because I just heard them last week. But I can't tell you they're my favorite. I don't have favorites of anything. I enjoy what I enjoy.
Right.
There's a mix all around. But as you grow older and as you meet people, as you work with different people, things change. The way you see things, the way you see people change.
Yeah, a little bit.
You can meet someone who, back when you were 10 was like, oh my God, I would love to meet them. That's like my idol right there. I play because of them. And the reason I picked up an instrument was because of them. And you meet them, now today at your age, you can meet that same person and be like, thanks for, like, your jaw may not drop. You may not, have tears of joy. You may not,
I don't know. For
me,
you
may not react the same.
For me, it was Los Lobos for me. I'm pretty sure if I met those guys today, I'd be like, oh, I'm not worthy. That's how I felt when I interviewed Steve. I was like, shit, do I really want to interview him?
I'm a little
nervous. I'm not worthy.
But my point being, you still had him here.
Yeah, that was dope. That was cool.
Still
and then
able
Bob
to carry
and
a conversation.
Thing,
still able to, when like you were 10, you would have been like,
probably,
whoa, can you sign? like it's different.
Let me go get my vihuela real quick.
You don't
have that attitude.
You don't have the same reaction. So for me to like pick a favorite or say like, oh yeah, these people are amazing. Don't get me wrong, there are amazing musicians out there. There are amazing groups. There are groups that I do pay to go see and sit down and enjoy. Yeah. But I am not the type of person to like sit there and follow people and like, oh, they're on tour, let's go, I want to see them here. Like, I've seen Sol. Mm-hmm. I am not gonna go to the restaurant every time I'm in California. Right. I'm not gonna go see Camperos at the restaurant every time I'm there. I'm not gonna, if there's a 2-hour wait, I have kids now. Sorry, we're going to Denny's.
They're not sitting still for 2 hours.
Yeah, I love the music. I loved, don't get me wrong, I would love to sit there and enjoy it every time. But as you grow older, as you realize what your priorities are, things start to change.
Dang.
That's life. And that's my life.
Well, you're not wrong in general, and that's one of the reasons why we started doing the podcast. Yeah. Because coming up here, I noticed shit is way different, and the potential for things to change in a way that you may not necessarily want it to, right? I mean, that's one thing. And I know you guys got stuff to do, and we've actually been talking for a little over an hour. You made it past your 40-minute mark.
I made it.
Yeah, you made it. You didn't throw up. You didn't get nervous.
For those of you who know me, I'm actually really camera shy.
Yeah. I'm surprised that you agreed to do this. I was like, oh, cool. Yep, that's you. And so for change, right? Style. So you're talking about like people when they ask you what's your favorite this, favorite that. It's like, yeah, it's hard to say. Like, I don't have a favorite song. I do have styles that I prefer, right? Like I have a certain sound that I want to, like when I look at my guitars, like not just any guitar does it for me. Like even an expensive one. If I go to like California and I go to a really highbrow classical guitar shop, which there are plenty of, and I'm looking at an $8,000 Jose Ramirez, which most people would just like, oh, that's their hero. And I strum it and I play a few lines and I play a few chords. I'm like, that's not any better or different than a Takamine at the folk shop in Tucson that maybe cost you $700. Like they almost sound similar, if not exactly the same. Mm-hmm. But then I go to like the Master shop. I go to a few other places. I find certain gems that I'm familiar with, and they have that ring, and they have that vibrant. There's a style and a sound that I'm looking for. That I'm chasing. Right, it's like I got hit with the Candelas, dragon when I was 15, 16 years old, and I've been chasing that first hit ever since, right? Like I'm always looking for that first sound. What style, if you even have a preference? Like some people have different styles of performing and interpreting this music, right? Some people are very chompy, very powerful. Some people are very blended. It's like, how do you interpret how you play, how a group you interact with? Like what do you prefer? Like, I mean, Tapatio is obviously something you prefer because you've been doing it for so long. Yeah. And they have their own unique style. And they're starting to continuously change and define their style. Like, how do you approach that? Like, for me, it's like I look at myself in the mirror, I look at my friends, I listen, I try to adapt. It's like, what's your approach to that sort of thing?
Well, as far as in Tapatio, like in our group, I'm not in charge.
Right, yeah.
So
that's Beto's worry, right?
It
You're
goes
just trying to
back
contribute.
to what I was telling you, like just not putting myself in the position to like have difficulties along the way.
Yeah.
If I'm told like, oh, you're playing this wrong, I'm going to try to change it.
Yeah.
That's just me. I'm not going to fight you on it. I'm not going to tell you like, oh, well, this is just how I play. Like this.
Yeah. You can't do that.
If you're going to ask me, use more bow, I'm going to use more bow. If you ask me, like, Beto asks me all the time, fourth finger, or no vibrato, or shift here. And I'm like, ugh.
He is like, the Tarantino of his own world.
But that's what he prefers, and that's what he wants to see.
Yes. Yeah.
So I try it. I mean, I'm not going to fight you the whole way. I'm not going to... There are times where I'm like, but... and he's like, just try it.
It's like,
I'm like, fine, I'll try it.
Point of order.
But and there are times where he allows, like, what do you think? And I'm like, I think it's dumb. Don't do it. But, I mean, I'm... Ultimately, if I wanted to be in charge, I would be. And I don't want that responsibility.
It's a fucking hassle.
I don't want to be in charge.
Yeah, no.
If I wanted my own group, like, I would be like the other, 500 people out there. Well, I hate this. This sucks. I'm going to start my own group.
Yeah. And
I don't want to be in charge.
Yeah, it's not successful. And
I don't.
It doesn't go the way you think it's going to go.
So you tell me to do something, I'll try to do it. To the best of my ability, to where I feel like, okay, I am trying the way you said.
Yeah.
And sometimes it comes out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I ask for help. Sometimes I don't realize I'm doing something wrong. And it's like, well, you constantly do this. Okay, well, correct me. Like, you tell me what to do. You tell me how you want this played. You tell me how you want it to sound. Are we playing it short, long, like fourth finger, open string? Like, you tell me how we're supposed to do this. That's another reason why I'm comfortable where I'm at. Right. Because I don't want to be in charge.
No.
I don't want that responsibility. I don't want...
But even not being in charge, I mean, you still command your own technique. You still command your own...
Yeah, you do.
Because you have to bring something for he even to criticize it, right?
Yeah. You do. But that's what I mean. I can bring to the table what I have, what I know, but whatever I bring, it's there for him to say, like, I like this, I like that, right. You need to work on that. So I could go on all day about my preferences, but in the end, I play for a group. Right. I don't play for, myself to be in the spotlight. I don't play for myself to be a soloist violinist. I don't play for... I don't do weddings with me and a keyboard or me and a piano, me and a harp. I don't do that because I like the group sound. Right. I don't like to be... Your time is accounted for, and so when you play stuff, you want to play stuff that you want to play, right? So you're not out there pushing nonsense or something that's not you, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I do it because I like the way that's being done. I made the choices that I wanted to make for reasons that I thought were beneficial to me. So, being in a group, being not in charge, styles that are selected. You tell me to play, okay, we're going to play this one like camperos, but we're going to sing like cobre. All right, let's try it. That's usually my preference. Let's try it. Like you tell me what to do. I can bring you what I have all day, but in the end, if you don't like it, you're going to tell me how to change it. Pretty much. Yeah. So for other groups, when you're listening, what do you like to... Like, for example, I hated America's performance at the conference, and I don't give a shit who doesn't like me saying it. I didn't go to the conference this year. Oh, well, very good for you. Right? I noticed a couple things because we bought tickets, not the lawn seats. I wanted to sit in a nice chair and sit and watch and hear, and I wanted to see everything. And the way that they played... I don't mean any disrespect, but it was really off. It was really weird. It was not together. And I understand that there was instructors there, and the main group members couldn't come because of passport, visa issues, whatever. It's like still, like even if, like say, Camperos has someone subbing in, like they're bringing somebody who knows all of their repertoire down to a T. It's always good. They always have that same style and that, that high and low mixed in together. Cobre always has that low and then a little bit of that high mixed in together. It's all powerful. It's like that for me is what I like to see as far as style.
like power. Even the chick groups, when some chick groups come in with like the power and style, it's like that's good, right? Things seem to be changing. People seem to be going however the fuck they want to do things, right? It's like one thing we talk about here, and I'll let you guys go. I know you guys have stuff to do. Standards. Like, how do you see standards going forward for you and for, Tucson or just in general? Like, what do you think about the standard? I mean, I know you have your standard. I know that you want to play to your group's director's standard, what they want to see and what he wants to hear. But how do you see the culture shifting with standards? I know I see a lot of kids doing a lot of weird stuff, and I'm like, I don't think I like it all.
I think to a certain degree, there aren't any anymore.
Interesting.
Which really sucks.
Just it's gone. It's just been forgotten.
Yeah, there are. I mean, there's people that sometimes show up, and it's like, okay, like show up without a moño, and it's like, well, do you have something? It's like, well, what'd you guys bring me?
Oh shit! Okay,
and
they're
like,
expecting that. Yeah.
But that also comes with, how do I say it? Like a sense of entitlement. Kinda.
Everyone gets a trophy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm getting sick of that shit. Personally.
And I always called it the Walmart mentality. Like, well, I bought this here, so can I return it? But do you have a receipt? No, but I bought it here.
So
it's like open and used, but I want to return it. Like, Walmart will take anything back.
I have bought shit at Target and returned it at Walmart. It was fantastic.
Oh, okay. So Walmart will take anything back. And I feel like people have that mentality everywhere. Like, well, I can do this here. I do it in my group. I can do it here. Or I do it, when I gig on the side, I can do it here. And that's not always the case. So I feel like sometimes people don't hold themselves to any certain standard.
Yeah, it's a personal choice, right? Or just they don't even freaking realize that, hey, I'm a person and I have integrity and I could make choices to be held accountable.
Yeah, exactly. And you bring it up to them sometimes and they're just like, well, I don't know what you're talking about and you hired me and this and that. And it's
Christ.
Like, well, we hired you because we thought we could use you.
We thought there was a person in that shell that I'm talking to, and it doesn't appear to be one.
Yeah. So just I think there's a very it's diminished a lot. And like I said, there's sometimes the lack of.
There used to be a cure for that sort of thing. It used to be you don't get called for gigs anymore.
Yeah.
There used to be that. There used to be
docked in pay.
Or I remember the Padilla. If you weren't playing fills, they wouldn't pay you for the full time. If you weren't singing, they wouldn't pay you for the full set.
You forgot your moño. Okay, you got docked.
All right, no pay for you. And then sometimes people are just like, well, I'm just going to go. It's like, bye. There's 10 more people that want to try out. Yeah. Is it that there's just I'm like, there can't be a lack of musicians, right, that are coming to the schools.
No, I don't think it's a lack. But I think it goes back to like, well, I don't like this, so I'm going to start my own group. There are way too many options out there now.
Interesting. So people are just starting their own shit left and right then.
Left and right. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if you have the direction, if you have the leadership, if you have, what it takes to run a good group, then more power to you.
Right.
Like, if you feel you can do it, by all means. But I think there are some people out there that are trying to do it and are not
succeeding.
Not so much succeeding, but it's just the lack of holding people to a standard, the lack of accountability, the lack of, there's just a lot of crap out there.
A lot of shit going on. Well, that sucks. And that's something that we've talked about with a lot of people here, and it seems like it's a consistent story out there. It's like there's a couple of cures that come to mind.
I'm not talking out of my ass.
I don't know.
Good to know.
You definitely are not. Like me and Miguel talk about it all the time because Miguel and I take gigs with more him than me because I don't know what his deal is, but he'll play any gig, man. But it's funny that we played gigs and I've intentionally tried to fuck with him just to piss him off because I'm not having a good time, so I'll just bring him right down with me. I'll start playing wrong shit on purpose, and he's like, fucking play it right, man. You know how to do this. I'm just like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
this is bullshit that we're playing for right now. So I'm a little bit guilty of having a bad attitude and like we're not all angels, right? I know we talk about this stuff, but sometimes we do things ourselves that are just like not that cool. But yeah, no, you're not. And it's even worse up here sometimes. And I'm seeing it now in Tucson. And I think, what could we do to curve this, this thing, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple things, right? You have lead by example. So you have groups that are exemplified and they progress, right? People will tend to follow. And then you have strong individuals, strong people that are in the mix and say, yeah, that's bullshit, right? And not be afraid to say it, because there is a little bit of politic that go in there, right? I've always been a little exempted from the politics. I don't know what it is. Is it just my attitude? Like, do people not even give a shit what I have to say either anyways, right? Because I'll tell you straight up to your face if I don't like something, if it's not good. True. And that's what I always loved about Louis. It's like, he would always just be like, what do you think, Jay? I'm like, yeah. And I'd be like, I tell him, what do you think of this? He's just like, that fucking sucks. I'm like, okay, I won't do it. He just, no, don't do that. I'm like, okay, I won't do it. Like, it was the same type of...
Straight and to the point.
Yeah, it was that same type of mutual respect. It's like that whole thing of like, well, let's just agree to disagree. That's not respectful. That's just dismissive, right? Like, let's disagree and come to an agreement, right? Yeah. And let's figure things out. Anyways, okay, so BoaBo, I don't want to keep you here forever. Thank you so much for coming on the PlayMariachi Podcast in my home office and talking about mariachi for an hour. Yeah, it's just like my hideaway. I got Star Wars and Batman, and a bunch of other nerdy shit around here with my instruments. It's a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming up and talking, and hopefully this was fun for you and you weren't completely terrified through the whole time.
Not completely.
Any last words for our viewers for the PlayMariachi Podcast? Anything? We always tell people just to be humble and get your shit together.
Yes, seriously. Like, nobody needs to have an ego. Oh my God, nobody. Like,
it's still prevalent.
Bring yourself down a little bit. It's okay. No, I just thank you for having me on. Thank you for allowing me to be your first female.
First lady guest.
I guess it's kind of an easy transition, huh?
It really was.
Being one of the guys and then
I'm not going to bullshit. When I thought about having a girl on the podcast, I'm like, who can I talk to? And then I thought of you first. I was like, okay, that's definitely someone who I can talk to and just be myself and say whatever, and I don't have to be too careful or politically correct.
Has anybody called you Dick Jason on this podcast?
I've been called asshole.
Okay.
Miguel likes to call me asshole. I'm like, no, but I'm a dick. I'm not an asshole. Because
no, it's definitely Dick Jason.
Dick Jason, yeah.
Dick Jason.
Well, I used to have a really weird complex about my personality in my 20s. I used to have this really weird thing where it's like, Sterling is kind of the guy that has his life together, right? He's very nice and kind of cold, right? So you don't get too much out of Sterling, right?
Yeah, you don't.
He's also the guy that's a bit of a psychopath. He's like that. Sterling is kind of like the guy in that fucking American Psycho movie where he's like a person that he is not for the majority of his day, right? He pretends to be a stockbroker.
Sterling's the suit and tie, but like, who are you person?
Yeah, exactly. He's got that. He could be a mob boss in a previous life, right? Jason is a little bit of a goofy, emotional train wreck. Can't handle things very well, and so he resorts to conflict very quickly.
Which and then becomes Dick Jason.
Dick Jason, yeah, a little bit. It was really bad when I was younger. I used to not handle myself very well when I was a single guy. It was quite. I hope it was entertaining for you all to watch. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. It was funny for a time. Like my friend Ladio, I was playing gigs with him, and he's like, "Bro, you're showing up with a different girl every weekend, man." I'm just like, shh, quiet. This is my friend, okay? This is none of your business, bro. And it was a lot of fun. BoaBo, thank you for coming on the PlayMariachi Podcast.
Thank you.
Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend up here in fucking Phoenix. It's hot as hell.
It's pretty hot.
I gotta go play gigs this afternoon, and with people that I actually like, and I like these guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
Suit up.
Yeah, suit up. All right, thanks, BoaBo. We'll see you later.